What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. I feel like it's a little bit of a long shot, but I feel like the Chicago Bears, that could be a playoff team this year. They're one of those teams I could see getting into the wild card. I really like the starters and the star power that they have. The only thing is I'm not 1,000% certain in the depth. And, in a long season, you're going to get a lot of injuries. And then I do think the second half of the schedule is pretty brutal. But that being aside, I do think that they're going to be in the fight at the end. And they're going to be a team that I think is going to be somewhere between 9 and 11 wins. And we're going to break down the depth chart and the schedule. Let me know in the comments if you think the Bears are going to make the playoffs. And then for fun, let me know what you predict Caleb Williams' rookie season stat line to be, because it's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie quarterback, but I think he's legit. I think Caleb's awesome. If you watched him at USC, you know that he put up points. He made plays. They just didn't have a defense at all at USC. So I believe in Caleb. Been a believer for a long time. I think the Bears got their guy. And I can't wait to see what they do. But ultimately, I want to talk about the rest of the team. Caleb's awesome. We know that. I think he's going to have a fantastic rookie year. Really think we're going to look at something like 4,000 passing yards and 30 TDs or so. It's probably in the realm of possibility for him, especially when you look at the running back room and the wide receiver room. It's loaded. If you want to start with the running backs, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, and Roschon Johnson, as a running back room, that is solid. That is very good. That is going to get it done. The wide receiving core might be the best in the entire NFL. DJ Moore is a stud that has never had a good quarterback, or at least passing quarterback in a great situation. Now he's going to have Caleb. I think he's set for an awesome year. Rome Odunze, as I don't know if he's wide receiver 3 or 2 on this team, but ultimately he's highly touted, looks really good, should fit really well with Caleb for a long time. You bring in Keenan Allen, who's a solid vet. There has been some concerns about his weight, which hopefully that's not an issue, because anytime a aging receiver starts to put on weight, that increases the likelihood of injury, and I don't want to see that. So as long as those 3 dudes are healthy, they're going to be in great shape. The tight end room is good. Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett's going to get you a lot of after the catch yards. The tough yards, he's going to get a lot of extra first downs just out the way he runs. Kmet's a dog in the red zone. We know what he can do. That's solid. The O-line is good besides the Nate Davis stuff. But ultimately around that, they're pretty solid, pretty set up. So the offense looks like it could be really potent as long as Caleb is putting on a show, which I think he's going to do. So that's all fun and games, but you got to play both sides of the ball if you want to win, especially in this division, because you're going to play the Packers, whose offense is going to be really good. You're going to play the Lions, who are going to be super high-powered. You're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up, but you're also going to have to learn how to try to stop them. And I think the defense ultimately is solid. I don't think it's top 10, but I think it's solid. I think you have good players on the D-line like Montez Sweat, who really balled out last season after the trade. I think you bring in Andrew Billings. You got Javon Dexter in year 2. That could be really nice. He had a good rookie year. DeMarcus Walker, bring him in. He had a big year last year, I believe, in Tennessee. I think he had like 7 sacks. You get that rushing potential looks good. Your linebacking core is probably one of the best ones in the entire NFL, and TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. Ultimately, I think that's going to be good. I think you're going to be solid there. The secondary is where it's got like a blend of youth and veterans. That the youth is really, really good. Like Jaylon Johnson is a top 10 corner, probably higher. Jaquan Brisker is a top 10 safety, probably higher. Just those two is really good. Kyler Gordon's really good. Tyreek Stevenson broke out last year as a rookie, I believe. So you've ultimately got like a bunch of really young corners and safeties that are really good. And then you have Kevin Byard as a vet back there, who I do think he's on the decline, but I still think he has some tread left on the tires. Ultimately, you have a lot of good players throughout the defense. I don't think outside of Jaylon and Jaquan, I don't think that there's anybody that's like top 5 at what they do, but they got a lot of quality players there. Only thing is the depth behind the starters, in my opinion, is not that great. But when you're a team that's rebuilding like them, you're not going to hit every single ball out of the park. That's just not feasible. So I think what they're trying to do is just bring in good players and, expedite this rebuild process. You bring in Caleb. Now you have your franchise guy. That's the biggest piece. ultimately they should have the pieces to put everything together. Should have the pieces to put everything together, but they do have a dogfight of a schedule, and that's something that you can't just gloss over because the games on paper 2 weeks before the season starts are going to be a lot different than 16 weeks down the line. But to start the season, you're going to play Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee is going to be all that good. I think that's a win. So I think you start off the season with a win, but then it gets a little rough here because you're going to get Houston, who's going to be really good. I don't think they beat Houston. Indianapolis is one I have no idea how to gauge, but I think they could be really good. So maybe you lose there. That could be 2 losses. The Rams game, that's going to be hit or miss. Who knows how that could be. You could be at potentially 2-2 or 1-3 to start the season, but then you get a little bit of the soft part of the schedule where you're going to play the Panthers, where they should probably dog walk them. You're going to play Jacksonville. I think they'll probably dog walk Jacksonville. Then you have your bye. Ultimately, I think they're probably going to be like 3-3 by the time they get to the week 7 bye. Then you're going to come out of the bye and you're going to play the Commanders. I think that's a dub. I think the game against the Cardinals is a dub. I think the game against the Patriots is a dub. So then you're at 6-3 riding high, right? Off of 5 straight wins is what I would have it at, more than likely. Then it gets rough on the schedule. It's these last 7 games that are brutal because you're going to play Green Bay, which, my personal opinion, I think they're going to split the series with Green Bay and Detroit. So you get a game there, or maybe you lose that one. But ultimately, I think they beat Green Bay once, and I think they beat Detroit once, and vice versa. So the games against Minnesota, I think they beat Minnesota both times. Minnesota is absolutely ravaged by injuries. The season hasn't even started yet, and everybody's dropping like flies. The projected quarterback, he's done in J.J. McCarthy. Who knows what that offense is even going to look like. Jordan Addison just went down. It's all bad in Minnesota right now. But the games against Minnesota, I think those are dubs. You're going to play the Lions. Like I said, I think it's 1-1 against those guys. But you're going to play the Niners, which is going to be rough. And then you're going to have the last few games of the season after the Niners is Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, and Green Bay. Seattle could be dominant. Green Bay could be dominant. Detroit could be dominant. You're finishing the season with 3 really tough games. And the bright side is that 2 of them are at home. So ultimately, when you look at the schedule, I think that the reasonable expectations is probably somewhere 9-10 wins, high side being 11. If they get the game against the Colts or the Rams, or they take a couple from a division rival, you never know what the season's going to look like in 4 months. But ultimately, the last 6 games of the season are rough. Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay. And if you want to go even before those games, you're going to have Green Bay and Minnesota before that, which is division games. The last 6 to 8 games of the season are going to be rough. They're going to be tough games, so hopefully the team is healthy and can compete. But ultimately, I see them somewhere between 9-11 wins and fighting for one of those last playoff spots as a wild card, which I think is completely reasonable. I'm not going to say they're going to win the division or anything like that because I do think Detroit and Green Bay are going to be awesome. But ultimately, you don't want to come in with too high of expectations because it is a rookie quarterback's first year. You have a new wide receiver in Keenan Allen, new wide receiver in Rome Odunze. There's a lot of change and turnover, but I think it's a lot of high potential turnover. So it could be really good. Really good. They just have a tough schedule. That's the only way to look at it. They have a tough schedule, and I'm not super sold on the depth, but I do like what they have, and I do think it's a team that is going to be really hard to beat. Anybody they play, I think that's the best part about it is they can beat any of the teams they play. That's realistic. They can take anybody on in their schedule, and they have fair odds, so long as health plays a part and they don't end up ravaged. But I think it's going to be really good. I think Caleb's going to dominate. I think Rome Odunze is going to have a good rookie year. I think Jaylon Johnson is going to be locked down yet again. Jaquan Brisker is going to have another year of growth and really blossom. Montez Sweat is going to have another really good year. I think they're going to have that year where they break through a little bit and kind of break the curse of never having a legit quarterback for the last ever. They really haven't had one in franchise history outside of Jay Cutler. So ultimately, I think they're going to be fun. I think it's going to be one of the most watched teams in the NFL. And I think Caleb's going to put on a show. I think the running backs are going to have a good year. I think it's a year where they could be fighting for the playoffs and be one of those last 2 teams to make it in. And that's, I think, reasonable expectations. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with that. What do you think the record's going to be? I think 9-8, all the way up to 11 and what is it? Is it 9-8 to 11-6, 11-7? I forget. Whatever it is, I think that it should be pretty solid. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Please like the video. Really, really appreciate it. But I'm done. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.